Today we're discussing why the era of AI experimentation is over. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today we have an interesting show for you. I'm going to try to take a couple of different news items from the last week or so and bring them together to articulate or argue for a trend that I'm seeing, and that is, in short, the shift in mentality, particularly among enterprises and businesses when it comes to AI. Briefly put, I think that we are moving out of a period where Gen AI feels like an exciting and important, yet experimental and unproven and still unknown force, into something where it is inevitable, essential, and omnipresent. And my argument is that this is a sense that's more broadly held. This isn't just me arguing something, it's something that I think you're seeing in the ether. The thing that kicked this off for me, and why I decided to talk about this today, was a post from IBM's VP of Product for AI platform, Armand Ruiz, who writes, "The era of AI experimentation is over. It's time to operationalize AI agents in the enterprise." Now, the specific genesis for this is that IBM is now underway with its Think 2025 conference. And this is very much the theme. IBM rolled out a full stack agentic offering, including pre-built agents for HR, sales, and procurement, platforms for agent orchestration, observability, and governance. The company also announced new partnerships with Cerebras and Oracle to make their AI available on those platforms. And while all that's awesome and great, and you should check out what IBM has to offer, that's not really the point of this show. The point is that they are now arguing in explicit and clear terms that enterprises should be past the point of tinkering with projects, throwing small teams at pilots, and instead should be thinking about big structural changes to how they operate. Now, interestingly, IBM is also putting their money where their mouth is. They are dogfooding this in a direct way. CEO Arvind Krishna revealed that the company has used AI agents to replace a couple of hundred HR workers entirely. They're also making heavy use of the technology across their entire workforce. Now, Krishna emphasized that the adoption of agents so far has been additive rather than viewed as a cost-cutting measure. He said, "While we've done a huge amount of work inside IBM leveraging AI and automation on certain enterprise workflows, our total employment has actually gone up, because what it does is it gives you more investment to put into other areas." This touches on a theme that I talk about frequently, which is that the fact that AI is coming for basically all of our jobs does not a priori mean that we're not going to have jobs. There is a decision that enterprises and organizations get to make on how to reinvest the savings that they get from AI-related gains. Some will, yes, just hack headcount. It is inevitable, and that's going to be a part of what we discuss later. But others are going to make a bet that the better play long-term is to reinvest those savings into better products, better services, better support, basically all the things that make them better able to compete and win new business. So, for example, in IBM's case, they reallocated resources from HR into hiring more salespeople and programmers. Krishna commented that for them, these are critical thinking domains where people need to do things that face up or against other humans as opposed to just doing rote process work. Krishna also highlighted just how fast the entire space is moving. He commented, "Over the next few years, we expect there will be over 1 billion new applications constructed using generative AI. AI is one of the unique technologies that can hit at the intersection of productivity, cost savings, and revenue scaling." Effectively, he's arguing that there is essentially no wrong way to deploy AI at the moment, whether your intent is to cut costs, push productivity, design new paths to growth. The only so-called wrong way to do AI is to get stuck in infinite pilots, rather than really thinking at scale operationalized terms. Venturebeat writes, "At the heart of IBM's announcement is a recognition that organizations are shifting from isolated AI experiments to coordinated deployment strategies that require enterprise-grade capabilities." Ritika Gunnar, the general manager for data and AI at IBM, said, "We're trying to bridge the gap from where we are today, which is thousands of experiments, into enterprise-grade deployments, which require the same kind of security, governance, and standards that we demand on mission-critical applications." Gunnar believes that the next big challenge is moving from a place where you have a handful of agents doing isolated tasks to operationalizing multi-agent systems that can generate serious ROI. He said, "We really believe that we're entering into an era of systems of true intelligence." And yet already, AI is moving the needle. IBM say that 94% of HR requests at the company are now handled by their agents, and they also say that they've reduced procurement times by 70% using agentic workflows. Now, okay, again, this was presented in the context of a big sales conference, more or less, and so one could be forgiven for being a little bit skeptical, right? It is clearly in IBM's interest to have everyone believe that the era of AI experimentation is over. But there is plenty of other evidence of looking around that this sentiment is shared more broadly. We've covered extensively the results from the recent KPMG Q1 AI Pulse survey, That survey, which focuses on companies of $1 billion in revenue or more, found that more than 3/4 of organizations were piloting or deploying agents currently, with another 25% exploring the possibility. But even more than that, there's been a total shift in the ubiquity and normalness of individual employees using these tools as well. Daily productivity tool use, in other words, people just using ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever, is up from 22% last quarter to 58% this quarter. Every other metric that they surveyed around this sort of regular usage was up as well. The deployment of agents is also clearly starting to pick up. 61% of companies said they now have call center agents. 68% said they have a customer-facing AI agent. And 66% said they have agents performing administrative tasks like scheduling. Those figures were all around 20% in Q4. So again, big jumps. Now let's go to market logic. You might remember about a year ago, we had this barrage of articles about how maybe AI was kind of a bubble. This was probably best captured by the Goldman Sachs piece, Gen AI, too much spend, too little benefit. Meanwhile, fast forward a year, and Goldman analysts are looking at big tech earnings where AI revenue lines of business are all growing and basically arguing that right now is a buy the dip opportunity because of the pricing of AI stocks. And then there's the shift in tonality around jobs. One of my great frustrations, as many of you well know, has been the comfortable lies we tell ourselves. These are best expressed in phrases like, AI won't take your job, a person using AI will take your job. And while yes, it is the case that everyone who performs well in the AI and agent economy will be fully versed in using AI, I believe that this is, to use a word like the kids use, cope. I think that AI is coming for a huge portion of what we do. And the question is how fast and how well we redesign what we do to take advantage of what AI offers, rather than clinging to the set of tasks that used to compromise our jobs. Increasingly, you are seeing this language and this recognition actually come to market. Over the last month, we had the CEO of Shopify write a long letter to his team talking about the AI revolution and specifically noting that teams will have to show that they tried to use AI and couldn't successfully do it before they get more budget for headcount. Duolingo followed just last week, basically explicitly saying that they are going to be moving from contractor-generated content to AI-generated content. Now, it wasn't like this was the first move for Duolingo here. The company had cut 10% of its contractor workforce back at the end of 2023, and there was reportedly another round of cuts in October of 2024, with both translators and writers being replaced with AI. But then we got maybe the most pointed expression of this from the CEO of Fiverr. Fiverr CEO Mika Kaufman wrote, "I've always believed in radical candor and despise those who sugarcoat reality to avoid stating the unpleasant truth. The very basis for radical candor is care. You care enough about your friends and colleagues to tell the truth because you want them to be able to understand it, grow, and succeed. So here is the unpleasant truth. AI is coming for your jobs. Heck, it's coming for my job too. This is a wake-up call. It does not matter if you're a programmer, designer, product manager, data scientist, lawyer, customer support rep, salesperson, or a finance person, AI is coming for you. You must understand that what was once considered easy tasks will no longer exist. What was considered hard tasks will be the new easy, and what was considered impossible tasks will be the new hard. If you do not become an exceptional talent at what you do, a master, you will face the need for a career change in a matter of months. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not talking about your job at Fiverr. I'm talking about your ability to stay in your profession in the industry. Are we all doomed? Not all of us, but those who will not wake up and understand the new reality fast are unfortunately doomed." Now, he then goes into a set of suggestions for what people can do. And interestingly, in this case, he's not announcing some new policies alongside it. He concludes his note, "If you don't like what I wrote, if you think I'm full of poop or just an a-hole who's trying to scare you, be my guest and disregard this message. I love all of you and wish you nothing but good things. But I honestly don't think that a promising professional future awaits you if you disregard reality. If, on the other hand, you understand deep inside that I'm right and want all of us to be on the winning side of history, join me in a conversation about where we go from here as a company and as individual professionals. We have a magnificent company and a bright future ahead of us. We just need to wake up and understand that it won't be pretty or easy. It will be hard and demanding, but damn well worth it. This message is food for thought. I've asked Shelley to free up time on my calendar in the next few weeks so that those of you who wish to sit with me and discuss our future can do so." Now, this is certainly the most assertive language that we've seen around this, but I think that it reflects a lot of what leaders in companies are thinking. So what does this all mean? Well, the good news is that there's a difference between organizations waking up to a mindset shift and no longer questioning whether this is the future, but now actively and assertively moving towards this future, and on the other hand, actually being in the future. Yes, that growth line, for example, in the KPMG survey is super strong and clear, But 58% of people using productivity tools on a daily basis means that still 42% aren't. There is a window, there is a moment in time, and this is what the CEO of Fiverr was articulating as well, where there is an opportunity to start to adapt. For me personally, I find it quite encouraging that we're not having the conversation that tiptoes into this future, but that is confronting it head on. I think the only way that we assertively exert our control and our agency over the shape of this future is to recognize it. And we do have agency here. What organizations don't get to decide is how the technology is going to develop and whether it's going to change the shape of what they do and how they do it. What they do get to decide is how proactively they transform themselves for that new future. What they do get to decide is what their position vis-a-vis their own employees is going to be. What they do get to decide is how they're going to reinvest the inevitable savings that come from robots doing a bunch of the jobs that people do now. And none of those things leads to the dystopian nightmare scenarios that people so often inevitably assume are true. I continue to be incredibly bullish and optimistic about the future where we are all super powered and super intelligent. But the TLDR is that I agree with Armand here. The era of AI experimentation, at least from a mindset perspective, and viewing it simply as experimentation, is over. So friends, let's dive in all the way. For now, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching as always. And until next time, peace